The shocking truth about what narcissists do behind closed doors. Imagine this. You're standing outside the bathroom door of someone you know, a friend, a relative, or maybe even a significant other. You assume they're just taking a normal shower, washing away the dirt of the day. But what if I told you that behind that closed door, something far more disturbing is happening? Most people see shower time as a moment of cleansing, relaxation, and renewal. But for narcissists, the bathroom transforms into a stage, a temple, and a secret lair of twisted habits. It's where they engage in some of their most disgusting, self-absorbed, and downright shocking behaviors, things they'd never dare let the world see. But here's the scary part. They do these things while believing they are superior to you. They emerge from their shower thinking they are cleaner, better, and more powerful than everyone else, completely oblivious to how revolting their actions truly are. What are they doing in there? Why would anyone engage in such bizarre, unhygienic, and unsettling rituals? By the time we reach the final behavior, you'll understand the terrifying mindset of a narcissist like never before. It's so disturbing that it might change the way you look at some people forever. Prepare yourself, because once you know these truths, you can't unsee them. Let's get started. Watch until the very end, because the last behavior is the most horrifying of them all. 1. Obsessing over their own reflection. For most of us, a mirror is just a tool, a simple reflection of reality, a quick glance to adjust our hair, check our teeth, or fix a collar. But for a narcissist, a mirror is not just glass. It's their throne, their sanctuary, their lifeline to an illusion they cannot afford to break. The moment they step into the bathroom, before the water even begins to run, they are drawn to their reflection like a moth to a flame. The world outside disappears as they enter into an almost hypnotic trance, consumed by the image staring back at them. They do not see themselves as they truly are. They see a god, a masterpiece, a being of superior importance. This is where the true sickness of narcissism begins to reveal itself. They stare at themselves for minutes, sometimes even hours. They turn their heads slowly, inspecting every feature with obsessive precision. They whisper praises to themselves, saying things like, "Look at me, I'm still gorgeous," or "People wish they looked like me," or "I have the face of someone who was born to rule." They will smile at themselves, tilt their heads, practice expressions in the mirror like an actor preparing for a role, because in their mind they are always performing, even when no one is watching. Some narcissists take it even further. They literally kiss their own reflection, talk to themselves in soft, affectionate whispers, or even stroke their own face in admiration. This is not confidence. This is not self-love. This is obsession. This is idolatry. The Bible warns us against such self-worship in Romans 1:25. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worship and serve created things rather than the Creator. Narcissists have no room for God in their hearts because they have made themselves their own gods. But here's the irony. They do not love themselves. The moment they notice a wrinkle, a blemish, a flaw they cannot ignore, panic sets in. They adjust the lighting. They change their angle, they smooth their skin with their fingers, as if trying to erase time itself. The image must remain perfect, because their entire identity depends on it. If they see something they don't like, they do not accept it, they reject it. A narcissist would rather believe the mirror is faulty than admit they are aging, that they are imperfect, that they are human. But God sees through the illusion. 1 Samuel 16:7 tells us, "The Lord does not look at the things people look at." People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And inside, a narcissist's heart is rotting. Most people can walk past a mirror without a second thought, but a narcissist, they are enslaved to it. They cannot leave the house without one last look. They cannot resist checking their reflection in car windows, store displays, even spoon handles. They must reassure themselves that they still look good, because if they don't, their world collapses. And the worst part? This obsession with their image bleeds into everything they do. They manipulate others based on appearances. They judge people instantly, deciding who is worthy and who is beneath them. They chase after admiration, no matter the cost. They live for one thing, to be seen, adored, and envied. But as Matthew 23:12 says, "For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." A narcissist believes their reflection is proof of their greatness, but in God's eyes, it is proof of their emptiness. No amount of staring in the mirror will change what's inside. The ugliness of the heart cannot be concealed by beauty on the surface. A narcissist lives for their image, but one day, time will betray them. Wrinkles will come, beauty will fade. Their greatest source of pride will become their greatest source of despair. And when that day comes, what will they have left? Nothing, no faith, no purpose, no love that was ever real. Because when you spend your whole life worshipping yourself, there is no room left to worship God. Stay with me, because the next behavior is even more disturbing. And the final one? It will leave you speechless. 2. Ignoring proper hygiene while believing they are clean. Most people step into the shower with one purpose: to cleanse. It is a moment of renewal, a way to wash away the dirt and filth of the day. But for narcissists, showering is not about cleanliness. It is about ritual, self-admiration, and maintaining an illusion. While they may emerge from the bathroom appearing polished and refreshed, the truth is far more disturbing. They are not as clean as they want you to believe. A narcissist can spend an hour in the shower, yet still walk out unclean. Why? Because their focus is not on actual hygiene, but on what enhances their image. They lather themselves in expensive soaps, luxurious shampoos, and designer body washes, but they neglect the basics of true cleanliness. They may scrub their arms and face obsessively, because those are the parts of their body that people see, but they ignore areas that require real attention. They assume that if they smell good, they must be clean, as if fragrance is a substitute for hygiene. This is how they live their entire lives, focused on external appearance while neglecting what truly matters. They reuse damp, bacteria-infested towels for weeks, convinced that it's just water, it's still clean. They barely scrub their feet, believing that the soap running down their legs will be enough. Some don't even wash their hands properly after using the restroom, because why would they care about something so small? Their mind is too occupied with maintaining their appearance, not their well-being, and if someone dares to point out their hygiene habits, they become defensive, even angry. Are you insulting me? Do you think I'm dirty? A narcissist cannot handle the idea that they are anything less than perfect. But here's the truth. No matter how much perfume, cologne, or expensive products they apply, the filth is still there. This mirrors their spiritual condition. They focus on making their outside appear flawless, while the inside remains filled with decay. Jesus warned about this kind of hypocrisy in Matthew 23:27. "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of the bones of the dead and everything unclean." Narcissists do not care about what is truly clean, they only care about what looks clean to others. They will dress in expensive clothes, style their hair to perfection, and apply the best fragrances, all while ignoring the rotting condition of their hearts. This is not just a physical issue, it is a spiritual disease. They don't want real change, they want the appearance of change. They don't seek true renewal, only a temporary mask of perfection. But masks crack, illusions fade, and eventually what is hidden will be revealed. It's the same way they handle their relationships, their responsibilities, and even their faith. They do enough to look good, but not enough to truly be transformed. They attend church, but their heart is not there. They say all the right words, but there is no truth behind them. They may even pretend to be moral, but when no one is watching, their true self is revealed. They are unclean, and they refuse to admit it. If you've ever known someone like this, someone who loves looking good but resists true cleansing, understand this: you are seeing into the very heart of narcissism. Their soul is just as neglected as their body. They will refuse to acknowledge the dirt that clings to them, both physically and spiritually, because to do so would mean admitting they are not as perfect as they pretend to be. But God sees beyond the surface. He calls us not just to look clean, but to truly be clean, inside and out. Psalm 51:10 says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." Let me ask you, are you letting God cleanse you, or are you just covering up the dirt? Are you washing away sin and pride, or are you merely putting on a show? Don't be like the narcissist. Choose real cleansing, not just an illusion. If this message opened your eyes, type "Cleanse me, Lord" in the comments, and stay with me, because the next behavior is even more disturbing. And the final one? It will leave you speechless. 3. Acting out strange delusional fantasies. For most people, a shower is a private and peaceful escape, a place where they can reflect, pray, or simply enjoy a moment of stillness. But for narcissists, the bathroom is something entirely different. It is a stage, a rehearsal room, a personal theater where they act out fantasies of power, control, and self-importance. What they do in the privacy of that space is deeply unsettling, revealing the delusions that govern their mind. Many narcissists do not simply shower, they perform. They engage in imaginary conversations with people who are not there, reenacting past arguments, and in their mind always winning. They stand under the running water giving dramatic speeches as if they were world leaders or celebrities, addressing an adoring audience. They might even practice their gracious, noble response to an apology they will never receive, acting out how they would magnanimously forgive someone, if only that person were wise enough to beg for it. Some take it even further, rehearsing false emotions that they will later use to manipulate others. They practice looking sad, wiping away non-existent tears, perfecting the quiver in their voice to make their next fake sob story more believable. They imagine themselves as a victim, playing out scenarios where others finally recognize their pain and regret how they treated them. In these fantasies, there are always the misunderstood genius, the tragic hero, the one who was wronged but rises above it all. Yet their imagination is not just limited to personal drama. It extends to visions of grandeur and superiority. A narcissist in the shower may fantasize about being worshipped, adored, or feared. They will speak out loud as if they are being interviewed, answering questions about their extraordinary success or unmatched wisdom. If they are particularly arrogant, they might even act out being persecuted for their greatness, as if the world cannot handle how special they are. This behavior is more than just eccentric. It reveals the deep spiritual emptiness inside them. Rather than turning to God for guidance and humility, they turn inward, crafting elaborate illusions to sustain their fragile ego. They reject the idea that they are merely human, choosing instead to build a fantasy where they are the center of everything. Romans 1:21 warns us of this mindset. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts were darkened. This habit of delusional role-playing does not stay in the shower. It follows them into real life. Narcissists live in a world where they are never wrong, never at fault, never small. They rewrite history in their favor, retelling past events in a way that makes them look innocent, righteous, and victorious. Even if they fail, they will twist the story until it sounds like a success. The bathroom mirror becomes a screen where they watch themselves perform, crafting the perfect version of reality to believe in. But the most tragic part? They actually start believing their own lies. They do not merely act out these fantasies, They internalize them, allowing their own deceptions to replace truth. Their self-centered universe is so tightly woven that they can no longer distinguish between what is real and what they have fabricated. This is why reasoning with a narcissist is impossible. They are no longer living in the same reality as you. God sees through every illusion. Hebrews 4:13 tells us, "Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account." No matter how well they act, no matter how convincing their performance, the truth remains unchanged before God. And one day they will be forced to face the reality they have spent their entire lives avoiding. The bathroom, once their personal stage, will become a place of reckoning. The mirror they worshipped will one day reflect back a face they no longer recognize. Not a god, not a hero, not a victim, but a lonely, lost soul who spent their entire existence believing in a lie. 4. Leaving a disgusting mess without a second thought, a reflection of their corrupt soul. Most people see the bathroom as a place of renewal, a sanctuary where dirt is washed away, leaving them refreshed and cleansed. But for a narcissist, it is just another temporary setting in the grand production of their self-absorbed life. It is not a sacred space of cleanliness and self-care, but simply a tool for their own benefit. And once they have used it, they leave it behind in utter filth, without the slightest concern. This is not just carelessness, it is a deeply revealing display of their true nature. The narcissist bathroom is often a chaotic mess, not because they lack the ability to clean, but because they refuse to acknowledge the consequences of their own actions. Water pools on the floor, towels lie crumpled in a damp heap, toothpaste stains harden on the sink, soap scum builds in the corners of the tub, and hair clogs the drain. Yet they do not care. Their mind does not register the destruction they leave behind, because in their twisted worldview, they are above cleaning up after themselves. They step out of the shower dripping wet, tracking water across the floor for someone else to deal with. Their used razors, half-empty shampoo bottles, and scattered grooming products remain untouched. Because why should they bother putting things back in order? Their reflection has been admired. Their body has been rinsed, or at least the parts they think matter, and that is all they needed. The aftermath is not their concern. The mindset behind the mess, a heart that despises accountability. The mess they leave behind is not accidental. It is an extension of their self-centered and entitled nature. They believe the work of cleaning should fall on someone else, whether it is a spouse, a family member, or even a hired cleaner. They expect that someone will eventually take care of it, as if they are too important to deal with such mundane tasks. And if no one does, they still won't clean it. They will live in filth before admitting responsibility. They will walk past the mess day after day, ignoring it, acting as if it does not exist. Because to acknowledge it would mean admitting that they caused it, and a narcissist will never take responsibility for their actions. If confronted about their mess, their response is not an apology, but a defensive, dismissive, or even hostile reaction. You're overreacting. It's just a little mess. Stop being dramatic. If it bothers you so much, clean it yourself. I don't have time for petty things like this. Instead of recognizing their own lack of discipline, they turn the blame around, making the other person feel like they are the problem. This is the essence of their mindset. They believe that other people exist to serve them, to cater to their needs, to handle the consequences of their actions. This is not just about hygiene. This is a spiritual sickness. Just as they refuse to clean their physical mess, they refuse to clean the filth in their soul. They sin. They manipulate, they deceive, they harm others. And yet they never take accountability. They leave a trail of destruction behind them, broken relationships, betrayed trust, emotional scars, expecting others to fix what they have ruined. But God is not fooled by their arrogance. Galatians 6:7 warns us, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that will he also reap." The narcissist believes they can go through life without consequences, that they can use people, discard them, and move on. They believe they can sin, lie, and manipulate without ever facing the mess they leave behind. But what happens when no one is there to clean up after them? The filth of their soul, a life that cannot be washed away. A narcissist's unclean habits are not limited to the bathroom. They are symbolic of their entire existence. They take from relationships but never give back. They consume attention but never show genuine love. They demand forgiveness but never offer repentance. They leave people exhausted, drained, and carrying the burden of their actions, all while walking away as if they are innocent. But what they refuse to see is this: the mess will catch up to them. Their soul, like the bathroom they leave behind, becomes a place of decay. At first the damage may seem minor, just a little build-up here, a little stain there. But over time the filth accumulates. The dirt that could have been wiped away easily becomes impossible to remove. The stench of their arrogance grows stronger. The mold of their deceit spreads. The cracks in their character widen. Until one day they look around and realize they are completely alone, drowning in the very mess they created. No one is left to clean up after them. No one is left to tolerate their selfishness. No one is left to admire them. And most tragically, God himself has turned away, for he does not dwell in unclean temples. As Isaiah 59:2 says, "But your iniquities have separated you from your God. Your sins have hidden his face from you, so that he will not hear." For so long they refused to acknowledge their own filth. They laughed at those who tried to warn them. They dismissed those who begged them to change. They walked through life untouched, unbothered, and unwilling to see the mess they made. But one day, the final reckoning comes. They will stand before the ultimate judge, stripped of their excuses, exposed in all their filth. And on that day, there will be no one left to clean up after them. 5. The disturbing habit that will leave you speechless, defiling the place meant for cleansing. Up until now, we have uncovered some of the most disgusting, selfish, and delusional behaviors that narcissists engage in while they are alone in the bathroom. But what you are about to learn is even more disturbing. This final habit is so vile, so unsettling, that it will leave you questioning how anyone could behave this way while still believing themselves to be superior. It is the ultimate display of who they truly are when no one is watching. At their core, narcissists do not just neglect hygiene, they defile the very place meant for cleansing. Their presence in the bathroom is not about purification but contamination. They engage in behaviors that go beyond mere arrogance, extending into outright filth, perversion, and desecration. Some narcissists, in their total disregard for basic decency, will use the shower as a toilet rather than taking a few steps to where they should. They convince themselves that it washes away, or it doesn't matter. But this small act is a reflection of something much darker. It is the mindset of someone who rejects responsibility, defiles what should be kept clean, and justifies their own filthiness. It is a physical manifestation of their spiritual condition. A soul that has no sense of purity, order, or respect for what is sacred. Others engage in private rituals of vanity and obsession, spending hours preening, posing, and even filming themselves. For them, the bathroom becomes a stage for their self-worship, a place where they can admire themselves without interruption. But some go even further. They cross into perversion, indulging in self-absorbed, lust-driven acts that further reveal the darkness within them. These behaviors are not about hygiene, but about dominance, control, and a need to feel powerful, even in the most intimate moments. A mind that knows no boundaries. What makes these habits so disturbing is not just the act itself, but the mentality behind it. A narcissist believes that they can do whatever they want, that there are no consequences, that they are above the basic standards of cleanliness, morality, and respect. Their bathroom behavior is a small but clear window into how they treat every aspect of life. They leave filth behind, expecting others to deal with it. They see themselves as exempt from the rules that apply to everyone else. If they do this in private, imagine what they do in other areas of life. Imagine what happens when they enter relationships, workplaces, even places of worship. They bring the same contamination into every environment they enter because, deep down, they are incapable of true purity. Titus 1:15 speaks directly to this condition. To the pure all things are pure, but to the defiled and unbelieving nothing is pure. Both their minds and their consciences are corrupted. A narcissist does not see defilement the way a normal person does. They convince themselves that there is nothing wrong with what they are doing, that they are simply acting on their impulses, that their choices are justified. They see purity as weakness, humility as foolishness, and accountability as oppression. They do not recognize filth, because to them, filth is normal. The ultimate consequence, a life of contamination. A person's private habits always find a way to reveal themselves in their public life. What is done in secret always comes to light. A narcissist may think their actions are hidden, but over time, their true nature begins to leak through, just like the filth they leave behind in the shower, slowly seeping into every part of their world. Eventually, people begin to notice the stains on their words, on their actions, on their soul. They begin to see the narcissist's carelessness, their selfishness, their defilement. At first, the narcissist may still manage to deceive others, to cover up their filth with charm, manipulation, or excuses, but no one can hide who they truly are forever. And then the final reckoning comes. There will come a day when the narcissist stands before God himself, the only one who sees everything, the one who knows every hidden stain, every concealed impurity, every act of defilement. And on that day, there will be no more illusions, no more charm, no more excuses, no more covering up the mess. Revelation 22:11 warns, "Let the one who does wrong continue to do wrong. Let the vile person continue to be vile. Let the one who does right continue to do right. And let the holy person continue to be holy." God does not force anyone to be cleansed. He offers purification to those who seek it, but to those who reject it, he allows them to remain in the filth they have chosen. The narcissist, who spent their entire life refusing to acknowledge their own contamination, will ultimately drown in it. They will face an eternity separated from God, trapped in the very filth they embraced. The final truth: no one escapes the consequences. They thought they could ignore their mess. They thought they could dismiss accountability. They thought they could justify their filth, their sin, their selfishness. But what they refuse to clean will become the very thing that condemns them. No one can live a life of contamination and emerge unscathed. No one can defile what is meant to be sacred and still claim to be pure. No one can reject responsibility forever without eventually drowning in the consequences. And so they will stand before God in all their filth, with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The same way they left their bathroom a disaster, they left their soul in ruins. And in that moment they will realize the truth, but it will be too late. Their entire life was spent masking, pretending, and evading accountability. But in the presence of the Almighty, there are no distractions, no mirrors to adjust their image, no rehearsed speeches to justify their actions. The filth they ignored will cling to them, no longer hidden beneath charm or deception. They will see themselves as they truly are, defiled, empty, and utterly lost. And the worst part? They will finally understand what they have done, but they will be powerless to change it. The opportunities they mocked, the warnings they dismissed, the cleansing they refused, all will replay in their mind, replay in their mind, replay in their mind, replay in their mind.